In this video, we will cover how to add context to your data once it has arrived in the historian. First, we will take a look at the view service and understand its role in the Canary system, then discuss how calcs and events can be created. Let's dive in. Once data arrives in the historian, it is available for any client needing to consume it, provided they have access. The view service acts as the gateway to the historian, handling the data requests that come from the client. By default, the view service contains a local historian view that allows users to browse for tags across all datasets. For some customers, this may be all that is needed. But if the tag structure coming from the source is not desirable or not intuitive for the end user, a virtual view may be needed. A virtual view is built on top of a pre-existing view, whether it be the default local historian or another virtual view that was created beforehand. The user can choose which datasets or virtual views to include when creating it. A virtual view has two primary purposes: altering the tag naming convention and defining assets. As mentioned earlier, the tag structure that comes from the source may not be user-friendly. Or, if you're logging data from several sources, may be different for each one. In that case, virtual views can be used to achieve a universal naming convention, making it easier for end users to find the data that they need. It's also important to mention that Canary uses the period to indicate a new branch within the tag path. If the original tag path coming from the source does not contain any periods or uses another symbol to indicate a branch, the user may want to include them to create hierarchy within the view. Once the tag structure has been set, assets can then be defined based upon that new structure. For example, we can see how this tag name was altered and periods added to indicate the branches in the hierarchy. Each branch is then set to a specific asset type. Defining assets in a virtual view becomes very powerful for later use when an end user wants to create an Axiom application, or an admin needs to create calculations for some KPIs. Instead of creating a calculation for each pump, one calculation can be created that hits all the pumps that have been discovered in the virtual view, a one-to-many ratio. Virtual views are built using regular expressions, or regex rules, to match string patterns found within the tag path name. Model rules are used first if needing to alter the tag names, followed by asset rules to declare what those assets are. Once a virtual view has been created, it is made available alongside the local historian view for any client wishing to consume data. In many cases, the local historian view will be hidden from the end user and only visible for admin users. That is where permissions come into play, but we will talk about that at a later time. For now, let's move on to calcs and events. Calculations and events can be created using the original tag names from the local historian view or the virtual tag names coming from a virtual view. If using a virtual view where assets have been defined, the user can create asset-based calcs and events. In this way, a single calculation can cover all of the assets of a given type without having to create a calculation for each one. Calc tags are written back to the historian using the local store and forward service, whereas events are stored in a local SQLite database or an external Microsoft SQL database if configured so. Events are condition-based and can notify users via email when certain criteria are met. There are nearly 100 functions and operators to choose from and can be configured to trigger on value change or a set period of time. Canary also has the ability to backfill historical calcs and events. In summary, we talked about how the view service acts as the gateway to the historian for clients coming in to consume data. Clients can browse for tags within the default local historian view or create a virtual view to modify the tag structure and define assets. The Calcs and Events service is just one of the clients that reads from these views to output new calculated tags that are written to the historian, or events that are stored in a SQL database. In the next video, we will look at the other Canary clients that connect to views for reporting purposes.